Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Photogs Live. Okay, we are live. What's the topic for tonight? Guys, I'm so happy. Um, I now had a chance to be with you again tonight. And yeah, it's working. I'm so happy that I had a chance to be with you guys tonight. And I just finished a like a big chunk of a backlog of work since the holidays. We finished this project. We shoot the project, and basically that's not the end of it. Every project has post production, and well, not all. Depends on the kind of project that you work on. Uh, Apparently, this type of project needs a very special hands-on technique that you know um, I myself need to handle. And I finished a big chunk of load because of the experience that I have working on it for 9 years, and a system that we have. Well, to be honest with you, there is a system, but the system is very pretty vague, and it's like done with trial and errors for the past 9 years. And we've been working on this kind of project for a long, long, long time. And I'm glad that the job has, halfway. Hello, VJ man. Oh man, I'm so glad to be live. I'm planning to like start a happy Christmas, man. I'm planning to start a 100 episode vlog for you guys. All photography topics, of course. This 2019, 100 video vlogs for you guys. All in photography topics. I This is the start. This is the episode 1, let's say. This is the episode 1, and I would like to hear from you guys. And I mean, the topic right now is the photography journey. How I became a photography. Guys, to be honest with you, I really really um I try to avoid talking about myself, and but in this topic, it's kind of like, if I share it with you, I think it's quite, it's a learning curve, because originally I had no plans being a photographer, and I would like to share you guys how I became one. I had no idea. I did not. I wasn't raised in a photographer family like some of you guys are. I did not work in an industry or in an environment of having photographers during my formative years. I wasn't able to, I was just placed there. Thank you, VJ man. I'm so grateful someone like you, VJ, is listening. And I know for a fact that we can connect because we have similarities and we relate to each other in such a way, experience wise. And I'm happy for you guys. You know, I mean, thank you, sir. Thank you. So let's start. So I graduated as a computer systems technician. Basically, a computer systems technician is a person who is focused on hardware, parts of computers to be assembled and to create. If you remember, for Pentium 486, Pentium, you know, processors, motherboards, the you know, oh my goodness, bits and pieces of stuff. Because I'm not I wasn't supposed to take that course because I was eyeing to be a political science graduate during after the secondary school. So I have um, basically uh, since my I used to have, yes, the Adobe 5.0. I used to have what do you call this? I wanted to. Hello, Edward. Yeah, right now I'm sharing to you my journey in photography, and I'm sure I would be able to share you guys some lessons that I have learned from the past. As originally, um, my parents wanted me to apply as an engineer to take an engineering course, but my heart says I wanted to be a political science graduate. But since that time, Happy New Year, Grace. Since during that time, finances are a bit scarce. That's why I ended up taking a 2 year course, which I had no, like, somehow plans to have. 2 year course, because that is, you know, I have this idea of in education, it's not the best. It's what you can only afford in education. That's how it is, because life itself is the university. Life itself is the teaching. So what you can afford, take it. We are not born with a silver spoon, and we are not born rich with rich parents and everything. My parents, my dad used to work here in UAE, and we were in Philippines, and I was in Manila, and I used to study. Yeah, the 2 year course that I have finished very quickly. That time just passed by, and I remember my dad coming back home and asking me and convincing me that he can still support me with my education if I go take engineering course. But I have no, my heart is not in engineering. I'm not an engineering person. Yes. Accidental photographer, but we will go to that. See, that's the thing. But I had this speech from Toastmasters. Lucky, blessed, and loved. Lucky, blessed, and loved is a journey of having conversations with your friends in with a cup of coffee. I have realized that I was a web designer. I had a conversation during my OJT period with one of my colleagues with a cup of coffee. He's a programmer. He convinced me to become a web designer. And boom, I became a web designer. So web designing, it took me to places. I got a job in the CBD, the Business Central, the Business Central in Manila, which is Makati. I spent 1 year there, and eventually I flew into Dubai. We got married. My wife and I got married. We had a baby. So I need to flew in to because that was supposed to be the plan. I was supposed to follow my dad immediately before after graduation. But since I am earning money already, I decided not to continue my studies. And that helped a lot because I have learned so much more. I have learned much, much more during my work as a computer technician, an IT, and a web designer. I have learned much, much more. That things that you would never learn in school or in university, you will learn at work. But then, once I have arrived in UAE and became a web designer, yes, that's the thing, man. Photography was not my passion. I had no idea in photography. I got no idea that I will become a photographer. I wasn't planning to do so. In fact, I am afraid to become a photographer. I was so, there's a phobia. I couldn't. Shall I say it's a exposure phobia. Because during that time, early 2000, late 1990s, photography is still film. And I am so amazed how commercial photography, commercial photographers manage to create amazing images that whenever I flick magazines, the way I see a production work, the way I see, before that. So I have arrived to UAE and I became a web designer for a year. Working on websites, it's pretty hard, pretty difficult, especially when you don't have a formal education in programming. I am a designer. I am a self-taught designer. I learned Photoshop watching my brother maneuvering the tools and the menus, because during those times there were no shortcut keys. You need to like go file, open. You need to go file, save as. You need to go what they call this. You need to go to file, and then you need to go to image. You need to go to layers. You need to go to marquee tool. You need to do all these things manually without typing in the keyboard. So there you go. I learned how to do raster graphics, because there are two types of graphics I remember so clearly: vector graphics and raster graphics. So raster graphics meaning to say photography, and no YouTube. I couldn't even, barely flick on the pages of those instruction manuals of Adobe, because every installer that we buy, my dad buys, he brings books of Adobe. We have that 5.0 user guide. But I never flick on those because I never learned. My English wasn't that deep, or my understanding isn't that bright, So I learned from my brother, because he's a graphic designer. He is a vector graphic designer, and I am a raster graphic designer. Raster meaning we are working on images on Photoshop, and vector meaning you are working on graphics that will be used on printing and text, most likely, and vector shapes. So those are the two different graphics that is available during that time, which is until now. Anyway, so I work on graphic designer, turning to be web designer, and doing teaching myself Photoshop, HTML, JavaScript. Even the JavaScript, I remember my dad bringing home the computer. It's a Pentium 586 and a Pentium 486. And there are some bits and pieces of folders there that has the the bowling federation that he designed a website. And the feeling of having your first website, you bought a domain, you upload it, you put it on an FTP, you upload it on the folder, and the feeling was so glorious. Seeing your web page at the first time online on the triple W in the World Wide Web. Wow. It's so amazing. The feeling is so grand that your work is published in the internet. That's, how I feel when I was working on websites. But then, to be honest with you guys, competition is really steep when it comes to web designing, especially the Asian market, especially the Indian market, who creates website. They are such a wizard when it comes to programming and designing. I know, VJ, you know that, you are aware of that. There's a lot of talented web designers here in UAE. Indians, Pakistanis, Asian, name it. Amazing work. But most of them are Indians. Most of them are Keralites. Man, it's tough. But if you have a really great team behind you, if you have a great sales team behind you, they will be able to represent you as the artists, and you will have a great experience working on projects. So, the, jumping jumping in, I met my first photography um, website that we are going to design. During those time, it was a boom of databases which are a model databases for modeling agencies, because there's a pool of talents that you need to like put on the database so that you can um, distribute them to advertising agencies and different uh, shall I say production companies that needed uh, models and talents, including makeup artists, hairstylists, photographers, models, these types. So we have designed our first website, which is a database for modeling agency called Photo Techniques. I had no idea that they've been working on this for a solid year now, and they couldn't get the design right. I remember my first presentation got approved. And who approved it? My first photographer mentor, which is Farmas BHD. He's still, he's traveling back and forth in Dubai. He is a filmmaker now, and he approved my first presentation. And I was static, I was like, cut the story short. I forced fast forward. They hired me. They took me in as an IT person, because most of the people in the agency, they don't know how to like update the website. So I'll be the one who's updating the website. So I'll be the one who is registering the models. This is where my photography journey went in, straight in. Every new model that comes in our agency, they need portfolios, headshots, and they don't know anything about photography, and they don't know any photographer. And I had no I don't know anyone also. Well, excluding my boss, of course. I mean, except for my boss, I know him as a photographer, but he will charge too much. He will charge a bomb when it comes to headshots, and he doesn't do headshots. He does commercial work, commercial photography. And since I'm doing the headshots for them to register, they need a better photography, a better portfolio to show clients or to show the agencies, to different agencies, because we were not offering exclusivity that time. They can still, register to any other agencies. And that's how it worked. I found the problem, and I gave them the solution. Okay, I'll be your photographer. And during those times, there are 2 weekends in a week. And there are 4 weekends in a month, sometimes 5. I have 10 days of photography. I was a weekend warrior. So I basically charged them $750 per head. Take the 500 and have the 250 to print them A4 size images that that they can use in castings. So I'm making money out of that, and it's much more bigger than my salary. Huge. I was, living comfortably. Although my salary was minimum. I was just receiving 2,500 during that time, and that was during the early 2000s. 2,500, but my salary, but my pocket money, when 500 times 10, 5,000 dirhams, I'm earning, if it's a good month, of pool of, because in a day I only shoot one, because I want to focus on one subject, one model in a week. It wasn't planned. I got myself a digital camera. I remember it was a Fuji Fine Pix. Fine Pix with a 3.2 megapixel camera. And it was not interchangeable. And it was just a point and shoot camera. And well, it has, you can add a extender or a wider, a telephoto extender, or a wide, what do you call this, an adapter for a wide angle. And I couldn't afford that, so I just got the basic and got that. And it was good enough. 3.2 megapixel, I can print an A4 size. I can give them, client is happy, boom. And I remember shooting models who really got the job, who because I was shooting more in available light, and we really choose the locations because I work as a location manager, also a location scout during that time. I know Dubai like the back of my hand. We go to deserts, we go to beaches, I've been through all that. I've seen all the coolest locations. We have this 4x4 book. I used to drive a four-wheel drive before. I had my small car. I had a Jeep. I had another Jeep Wrangler. I take models with me. We go to places and we shoot. That's my gig. And that put me in photography. But things got rough. So I need to move to another company. There was an issue about the management, and my boss had a problem during that time. So there was a change of management, and then I need to move somewhere else, and I have forgotten about photography because in production there are no space for other work. When you work as a production, I work as an operation manager in production, in creative management, and that was my chance to work with different international photographers. So I got to see how they work. So I got to learn more from them. What are the international trends? What are the equipment that they use? They all use film, 4x6, medium formats. And wow, I was blown away how they work. They work like horses. Man, really. And I worked as a horse as well. I became a driver, I became catering, I became, film runner. It's operations, so catering. So that really molded me into a single person who is working on multiple roles as in production. Never underestimate, always say yes. When there is any other jobs, if there is any requirements, always say yes. So I got really tired of that. It came to a point that I vomit if I hear another brief coming in. I just really, really, really need a break. Fast forward, I joined Bareface. Bareface Production is one of the best modeling agency, which is the best production agency in UAE during that time. And that was 2005. It's my second year. You will always have 3 years contract during those times. So it's my second year, and my office mate gave me a chance. Amanda Rushforth. Amanda Rushforth. She is, check her out. She's now a very famous influencer, which I sat with her next to her in the office, and she's pretty face, lovely model. She gave me a break. I took her photograph, and that launched me as a fashion photographer, because I had this. I always have this, shall I say, reach with other uh, plus one, not plus one, but class A models. I have this contacts, and that started it. You know, Bareface gave me the chance. They gave me the visa. They told me, Chris, start your freelance because that is the culture. Freelancing is the culture. So I started working for myself. That was 2006 before 2008, which is the market crash. And yeah, 2006 I was rocking. 2007, wow, it's an amazing experience. I remember having one of my first assignments, which is awake, for a burial. An Iranian mogul restaurant owner died, and his friend, my friend, which is, who knows this person, gave me the assignment to take photographs of his painting and create a video presentation for his wake when he passed away. And I remember that was like my first official job as a freelancer. And I find it funny and I find it ironic, although I embraced it. And that was like, imagine if I didn't say yes to that project. Anyways, I learned a lot, and that came, that opened a lot of things in photography. So I started working, but then during the market crash 2008, I remember that was dark times. I remember not even touching my camera for 3 months. No income. I have a big car. I have to return the car. It haunted me. But I was really relieved because in a point where I have dissolved all my responsibilities, and I am not the one who, I have minimal responsibilities, although I have a growing family, and that's responsibility enough. What I mean to say is I didn't had loans. I didn't had, I finished paying my credit cards with the help of my wife, of course. And, things were a bit okay, but it was tough. I applied in Better Homes as a photographer. I didn't last. It's only 3 months. But I realized to myself that I don't have any other option, because when photography becomes your thing, becomes the only thing that you can do, that that you can do, that you are confident that even if your eyes are closed, you can do it. That's the only thing that you can do. As an Asian, as a Filipino who had 2 years diploma, I don't have any choice to look for any other jobs, because my salary, at least I need at least 15 grand up to have my family, to support my family. No one will accept 10,000 above in my status. So I had no chance, I had no choice but to push photography, because I know photography is a lucrative endeavor, and it's a lucrative business. And that's how I became what I am, was not because of the lack of, not because photography is my passion, not because I'm so happy or I had enough support. Although yes, my family is here, my parents were here. I'm really thankful that they supported me even during those dark times. But what pushed me is having my back on the wall without any other option but to push on, to work on photography. And that's where Photogs life became. Chris Calumberan, Photogs life, man. I shoot to live. I did not live to shoot. I shoot to live. Those are two different faces of coins. I have to shoot so I can live, to survive. So that was a journey that I wouldn't forget. I owe a lot in my profession, that even there is some sort of calamity in the whole world right now, not only here but in the rest of the world, because obviously the technology is binding us, making knowledge and making creation creating more easier and more, shall I say, reachable for the masses. And they will still need us. They will still need our eye. They will still need our experiences. They will still need. Thank you, Terence. They will still need our expertise. That's why when you have any job that comes in, just say yes. I remember what I heard. You don't look for your mentor. Your mentor will look for you. Your mentor will find you. If you are afraid of doing your photography, if you are afraid of starting in photography, if you are afraid because you don't have a mentor, you need to position yourself so that you can find your mentor. Because there is no greater mentor, person-wise, except for life, except for Photogs life. If you are living the Photogs life, you will understand and you will realize that, wow, creating something out of nothing with our wisdom, with our experience in imagery, takes us to different places. Takes us in places that a normal person would not experience, sometimes in all of his life. I remember telling my son when he started assisting me, I told him, Daddy's job is not the coolest job ever, but it is in the top. I am really sure of, because we meet a lot of people. We meet a lot of interesting people in our lives, in our work, in our assignments. We try to study faces. We try to study landscapes. We try to study the way of nature, and we adapt to that. If we have total control, that's favorable. But let's not fool ourselves. Nothing is under control when it comes to nature. That's the thing. That's why I always say photography is a constant problem solving. That's why life is a constant problem solving. Never stop solving problems. Never stop looking for solution and formulating solution for problems. Because if we do that creatively, if we do that, if we risk ourselves, if we expose ourselves thinking of ways how to solve problems, or creative ways how to solve, not big stuff, I'm not talking about saving the world whatsoever. I'm just talking about small things that can push you forward, that can promote your progression in life, in your career, whatever career you may have. It doesn't have to be photography. If we start thinking creatively, things will progress. Let us not forget to reward ourselves every time that we have milestones. Rewarding not in a grand way, but just to peg ourselves that we have, tap in the shoulder, we can progress in our careers and in our lives. Because I now realize that life is working. We need to work because working gives us a purpose. Working in our profession makes us happy. You know, the work that makes us happy makes us live. And not working or not doing what you love, you know, we are killing ourselves. So, guys, think about it. We need to position ourselves in a way that we can progress slowly but forward. Let us try to solve each other's, or personally, it's like photography. It's a constant problem solving. Anyway, guys, I lost track of time. I think this is it's a good hour of live. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you, VJ. Thank you, Terrence. Who else is here? Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Grace. Wow. You guys are amazing. I love going online because of you guys. I know deep inside that we can connect somehow because we do have, similarities. We don't have to be photographers. We just need to live the photog's life. You know what I mean? Anyway, thank you very much and enjoy. Wow. The hours left in 2018. Please expect a lot more in Photogs Life Vlogs, and I will try to give you rich content. Wow, I will try to give you my best in delivering you great content that we can learn, that we can share each other. Please do not hesitate to fire me a question, give me some feedback so that I can, answer and also improve our channel. So guys, thank you very much. Happy New Year, belated Merry Christmas, and really enjoy 2019, man. Wow, this will be another year of greatness. Thank you very much, and namaste and goodbye. Good night. Cheers.